So I want to throw something out here. I want to go back to the NBA and Draymond Green, obviously part of the volume, and there's certainly an argument. I think he's the best defensive player ever. I mean, his ability to take Şengün out of games to give Giannis massive problems. Now, to give you the greatness of Jokic, he just waves the white flag on Jokic. It's like, I can't do anything. Either could Anthony Davis, by the way. Anthony would hold him to 28, and Anthony was like, I played really good, and he did. So, I mean, Draymond gives Giannis issues. He gives everybody issues. But one of the brilliant things about Draymond, and I think it's purposeful and intentional, he moves the line. So it's almost like if you're a parent, you don't want to yell at your kids all the time. So the kid that's a little inappropriate is constantly, consciously or subconsciously, testing his parents, what he can get away with. And at some point, you as a parent will be harder on the good-natured, well-behaved kid who infrequently makes a mistake than the kid that's always in trouble. When I watched Draymond play, Mike Breen pointed this out. Draymond has moved the line. That he did something the other night where people on the air were defending him, and I'm like, nobody would get away.
Nobody would get away with it.
It's
and
insane.
So I've said this for a long time. So listen, Draymond and I have a relationship is not even the right word, but it's complicated because I am very tight with a number of people who love Draymond Green, who swear by Draymond Green, Draymond does not, have an affinity for me, and I have been critical of him in the past.
Yeah.
But people whose opinion I really trust and value say off the court, one of the best dudes ever. So it's a weird dynamic there. Simultaneously, I have said that I thought he should have won 3 straight Defensive Player of the Year awards back when Kawhi won 2 of them. And I do think he is one of the most brilliant defensive players of all time. And I'm on the record that I thought he, not Clay, was the second most important person of the pre-KD Warriors. So all that's there.
Totally
Here
agree.
is the other piece of it. There is no player in NBA history who is given more leeway than, and this is an important qualifier, Draymond Green after getting 1 technical. Sometimes I think the Warriors are their most dangerous if Draymond gets a technical early. And I know Draymond is his most devastating defensively when he has 5 fouls. Because if Draymond gets to 5 fouls, he does not foul out at 6. He fouls out at 9. He gets 3 more. Damn it. Like, we're going to let it go. And Draymond, with 1 technical, can follow the ref up and down the court doing anything, and a ref doesn't want to throw him out. And so there is no question that the NBA refs I think one of the things they need to do better about is guys who never complain get a quick trigger on techs the one time they do. And guys who always whine and yell and complain, the refs seem to turn a deaf ear to. Oddly, it doesn't really feel like it applies to Luka, because I think Luka actually really irritates the refs. Because here's the difference between Luka and Draymond. Draymond is complaining or yelling about calls that go against him. Luka is yelling about calls he does not get. And for some reason, I think refs are way more bothered by what Luka does than what Draymond does.
Yeah, Luka is saying, you missed it. Draymond is arguing, I appreciate the effort,
I didn't do it.
You went the wrong way.
Exactly. Draymond is saying, I'm innocent. Luka is saying you're guilty. And so the refs seem to hate Luka. And with Draymond, they're like, Draymond's being Draymond. But there is also, it's not just on text. I'm going to tell, like, people can look up the game log and they will see it. It's a really, so Draymond right now has 2 flagrant foul points. 4 and you're suspended. That happened to him in 2016. You get 1 for a flagrant 1, you get 2 for a flagrant 2. In Warriors-Rockets Game 7, early on, Draymond got fouled and then swiped his hand and hit, I think it was Fred, it was Fred VanVleet. And the refs went and reviewed it, and they said foul on Fred VanVleet, and then dead ball technical on Draymond for hitting him in the face. With the justification being, it can't be a flagrant because the play was over, technically, over by a quarter of a second, so it's a technical. The very next game played in the NBA, Jokic got fouled by Lou Dort, and Jokic hit him in the head. And the refs went and reviewed it, and they said foul on Lou Dort, flagrant on Joker. And I'm like, that is the exact thing that Draymond, literally the exact thing, and it was a different rule interpretation. And that was, I know it in my bones, because the refs were aware, oh shit, Draymond is if we give him this flagrant, then on his next flagrant, which he is guaranteed to get at some point, he'll be suspended for a game. So let's just give him a technical. And so listen, if you can get away with it, it's smart. He can get away with it. And when Draymond, there was just I should have pulled it. There was an amazing graphic today. One of those little dot charts where it was players since the 2-minute report has existed. Players who have benefited the most. And it was like a Mahomes, one of the NFL quarterback charts, like where there's like a whole bunch of dots here on this line, and then right here's Mahomes through 5 years or whatever, where he breaks the chart. It was Draymond. That by 3 standard deviations, no player has had more calls where the 2-minute report says, yeah, that should have been a foul on them and we missed it, than Draymond. He has mind melded the refs into, I'm such a great defender, I probably didn't foul him, and gets away with all of it. And I give him credit because it's the only way a guy with his shooting ability, his height, his limited athleticism could become a first ballot Hall of Famer is playing this way, and he did it. He's done it.
Sorry to interrupt this great video, but please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you. Now back to the video. It's like the great salesman who's not great on the details. Yeah. And, and after a while as his boss, you're like, well, at some point he is so good at this, I will acknowledge, I will eat that. And I think Draymond is so good and is so respected for his defense that I think that's just natural. I just think that's why we don't have, in baseball, you do need a robot behind the plate. But in basketball, it's like I always say, officiating basketball is officiating pass interference in the NFL. You could call double. But here's the other thing. Have I ever told you my Jerry Sloan story? So for years, you know how I love theories. So for years, I could never figure out why the Utah Jazz in that 10-year Stockton Malone run were such an average road team. I'm like, the Celtics now are better on the road than at home. All great teams are good on the road, excellent at home. The Jazz were great at home and kind of 500-ish regularly on the road. I could never figure it out. And then John Ireland, voice of the Lakers night, we're talking one night. And he goes, do you remember Jerry Sloan as a player? And Sloan was like this inartistic bully. He was a foul machine. He was a tough guy. He and Bobby Jones, they were like in fights when the NBA in the 70s would like allow it. It was just, games weren't televised. The league was much rougher. So officials who never want to call every foul, especially in a raucous home environment, kind of gave the Jazz a little bit of a home pass. They were the most aggressive, handsy team. And then on the road, it's about 5 or 6 different calls a game, especially late. You're getting flagged for that. And that's just the way officials are, because the proximity of fans to floor is so close. And so this Jazz team, which was so handsy, that was, by the way, Stockton, some say is the dirtiest player ever.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Hornacek was a grabber.
Malone
Malone was always late.
Of course.
Okay. So they're the one team where they would go on the road, and about 6 times a game, the other team got into the bonus. And I was like, oh, I hate that I couldn't figure that out. So there is something to be said about and you're not mentioning this. Draymond gets even more latitude at home.
Oh, yeah.